Yes, here we go again, folks. It is Friday night on the bus. So, of course, dear viewer, you know what that means. It's time for the Friday feeling because Celtic are back in SPFL action. We are playing Kilmarnock this weekend, and God knows we owe them a bloody nose or two after what they've done to us this season. So, revenge is hopefully in the air for Brendan and the boys because, whether we like it or not, Liam, we find ourselves in a bit of a title race now. It's even Steven in terms of points and games played. All of the fabled game in hand that they keep talking about, they've all been done now. So this I guess 13 games now at the end of the season. This is us on the run-in. To say whether we like it or not, and it's ourselves to blame. This is where we find ourselves, but it's time to buckle up, isn't it, Liam? This is it. We're in for a bumpy ride.
Right, this is a roller coaster we're on right now. It's like all the emotional stuff that's not even football that is just concerning us now as well. I used to enjoy getting ready for this part of the season. February, March, that's when games started to mean something. You were watching the other teams, seeing how they were doing. Oh my God, I don't feel nearly as confident now going into this now. It's like you're talking about everything except the football. And then when you do talk about football, it's been pretty dire lately as well. So, they call it the February doldrums. We're in the February doldrums, mate.
Big time, big time. We will try our absolute best to get us up because this is after all called the Friday feeling. So that's what we try to do on the bus as a Friday night tradition here on this channel. Myself and Liam here again to get you through it. And of course, before we do all that, you can do all that good stuff for us, folks. You can hit that like button. Apparently, you can also hit that dislike button as well if you don't like it, because apparently it all helps. The old algorithm, as I like to say, YouTube obviously promotes active channels and any sort of interaction. It all counts. So jokes on them, I guess. Obviously, you can get subscribing to us. We're over the 4,500 mark now, doing not too bad, this humble little channel. And, of course, get involved in our comments section tonight, as many, many people already are. We've got 49 people watching live just now. A lot of familiar names on the bus here, like Jim Dolan, Pam. She's here and she's always here. God bless her. Margaret's in. Gary Brown's in. William Collow's in. Ian McIntosh is here. So, a lot of familiar faces. And, of course, you can share the link of the Boise Bus far and wide on whatever social media platform you wish. And head over to piesports.com, up that corner, whatever side it's on. I'll make a mess of it. Yes, and use the code BUS1888 and get yourself 12.5% off your order. And with all that said and done, as I said at the top of the show, Kilmarnock are coming to town. It is our fourth meeting against them this season. We played them twice at Rugby Park, one of which was a cup game. Played them in the league at Celtic Park already. So yes, this is our third league fixture against them. And as I said, we do owe them a black eye. They did knock us out of the League Cup early on in the season, very early on. Our treble charge was over before it even started. Grim. And of course, they did beat us before Christmas. That sort of triggered a bad run of results. We were 11 points clear at one point, and then it began to fall apart a bit after the Kilmarnock game. So as I said, we definitely owe them one or two here. But yes, we did play them at Celtic Park though. Take away their plastic pitch. It's a much bigger pitch. We did beat them 3-1, and even Greg Taylor scored that day. And speaking of which, Liam, because we've got to address it. I mean, this is the elephant in the room. Great expectations, mate. And Liam came up with that one before we came on the air. Yes, Greg Taylor is back, mate. This is what has come to, mate. Bernabei is so erratic and so raw that fans are actually pining for Greg Taylor to be back. But hey, he is available and he is fit. Will he get a start tomorrow? He might very well, mate. But what do you do with that one with Bernabei? Because let's be right. Bernabei's a strange one in that you look at his performances that he's came in, right, and nothing much has really changed. He's still, as I say, very raw. Does give the ball, if as much as he wins the ball, and people are going on about how he really does try, and he does. I mean, he does run about a lot and he does try, but that doesn't always equate to football ability. There was a stat that was put up after the Hibs game, and it was like on the park, at all the 22 players on the park, he had the most interceptions, winning the ball 10 times. But of all the players, Hibs and Celtic that night, he was the highest, but he was also the highest in giving the ball away, which was also 10 times. So it just means that for every good thing he did, he also did something bad. And that's what you get with this guy. But yeah, Greg Taylor, could he be back? Well, what are we going to see tomorrow, Liam? What's Brendan going to do with that one, mate?
I'm trying to figure the game people watch where Greg Taylor turned into Marcello or fucking Maldini or something, because I missed that one. I've seen him play all right. The pining to get Greg Taylor back fucking mystifies me. It just does. We've got a problem in that part of the pitch. So I know Greg Taylor's know the answer, so does everybody else. But this Greg Taylor walking back into the team, he's skipping a jump and a wee sashay here and there, but he wouldn't walk into my team. The same things that Bernabei is getting. What you just said about Bernabei is the exact same praise that Greg Taylor gets, that he works hard, that he keeps the ball and stuff. But you know what? When you've got a 6-foot striker or 6'2" striker in front of Joe Hart, and I've got Greg Taylor huffing and puffing and everything he can to try and move him out of the way, and that results in a goal 2 weeks in a row, I'm not really rushing to get Greg Taylor back in this team. Yeah. I think for me, the most frustrating thing about Celtic and Rodgers right now is the fact that we've got a weakness on that side. And so, okay, you've got more than 2 players to pick from. We've known about this deficiency for ages. Fix it. You've got plenty of people that can play across the back line. We've proved that Anthony Ralston can play on that side as well. Fix it. Put somebody in there that's going to be the job, because I guarantee you tomorrow, the one thing that worries me about Kilmarnock are going to try and play to what gets them points. And what gets them points is putting pressure on Greg Taylor. And what we've seen last time with Armstrong and whoever it was doing that wing,
Daniel Armstrong,
bullied him. They bullied him. And once you're bullied and you've dominated somebody, there's no fucking comeback for that. He was bullied, and he's been bullied many, many times by forwards in this league, Scottish boys that know how to play against Greg Taylor. And that's going to be our weakness. So, we can get pumped and give each other high fives and all that. Hey, we Greg's back. I think
yes.
I don't think I'm being irrational here. I think it's like, look at the team. We know that Scales can play left back. We know. I think Derek McInnes. I think Kilmarnock will exploit us tomorrow, and I think that's where it comes from. 2 games in a row, he stood in front of Joe Hart and basically caused an obstacle for Joe Hart to get to the ball both times. So I imagine anytime they've got a free kick or anything coming in our box, is whoever's Greg Taylor's marking runs towards the goal with Joe Hart and tries to impede him, because Greg Taylor's going to do hee-haw.
Well, unfortunately as well, a guy who is from Greg Taylor's past, haunted him before. They signed Kevin Van Veen in the January window, a goal that you have brought up a few times when he played for Motherwell. He twisted and he turned. He left Greg Taylor for dead, essentially, in a game at the tail end of last season where we drew 1 apiece. But he now plays for Kilmarnock. And that Kyle Vassell they've got up front, he's a big unit. And I don't think Kilmarnock will come and play 2 up top. Don't get me wrong. Can imagine them playing with 1. But either one, is going to give us a few problems. But there is a guy that you did mention there that I think we need to talk about, because usually when I do go through the team and whatnot, with predicted lineups and who might start, there's a guy that I always just skip over, right? Because there's no point in even debating it, because he's always going to start. But I've got to be honest, I think Joe Hart deserves a lot of credit recently, Liam. I think his performances have been great in the face of adversity, because a lot of fans have just been saying he's done, he's finished. Okay, yeah, we do need to change the goalkeeper, and I do think he will leave in the summer. I think when his contract's up, I think he will go. But I think some of the saves he's pulled off in recent performances, very shaky performances, he's kept us in it. I mean, the Aberdeen game, we could have very easily lost that one when it turned into a game of basketball in the second half of the game, when it just was back and forth. It was an amazing save I think he pulled off from Shinnie. I want to say it was Shinnie who broke into the box. He pulled off a good save against Hibs as well. And it's like, fair play to him. I say, for all the criticism that he's been getting, and some of it has been justified. But I mean, at the moment, when it comes to goalkeeper options, he is obviously the best choice. But I credit where it's due. I say we don't even give Hart enough credit. I think we just take it for granted at times. But no, fair play to him. He has done very well recently.
I think that's a credit to Joe Hart as the man. I mean, we all fell in love with Joe Hart when he came up here. He just had the right attitude, everything. I think he helped galvanise that first year of Ange. That guy that played in World Cups, played in Euros, played at the very, very highest level with good teams and internationally and abroad. Somebody just had a bit of a worldliness about him, and then that experience as well. I think what we're seeing is Joe Hart. I don't know if this is his final year. This is a guy that's going out.
I was a three-year contract. He signed. This is the third season, so
Aye. So if he's leaving this year and he's no signing a new contract and he's no, or if he's retiring and that, this is just a typical Joe Hart. I'm going to go out with a bang. I'm going to go out. This is how I'll retire. I'm going to go out. Like I don't want to say, we've passed it in November or that. No, I say I'm going to get it all just till I'm done. And then, win the league, don't win the league. I think when Joe Hart gets sent off, if he gets a Celtic send-off, it'll be one of the highlights of his career. It'll be up there because I think he's been very, very good for us,
Aye, definitely. So hopefully this little purple patch that he seems to have found, it couldn't come at a better time, because the defensive front of him isn't doing him many favours, especially with all the injuries that we seem to be caught again, chopping and changing it and whatnot. So yeah, we need obviously the last line of defence to be his absolute best, and fair play to him. He has he's been stepping up recently. As one of the comments said there from Chill Pill, Hart kept us in the last few games. Cannot disagree with that one, but that is totally the truth. So yeah, hopefully he keeps it going, because as it stands right now, we're basically staring down the barrel of 13 cup finals. As it stands, it's a lot. I have seen Celtic teams in the past go on winning streaks of that nature. Think back to Neil Lennon's second season, which interestingly enough, we're just past the anniversary of Administration Day, the 14th of February, but it was that season, the 2011-12 season, where we were actually 15 points behind at one point. Celtic went on, I believe, a 15 or a 16 game winning run in the league. And that's essentially what we need now. And when you look at the players that we've got up against what we're going to be playing, you go, it's not outside the realms of possibility. The players have got the ability, but the key is it's the guy who's running the team. It's the manager. And I've been pro Brendan Rodgers before he even came back. I was starry-eyed talking about him in episodes of Bustalgia, going on about, I loved when Brendan Rodgers was manager and this and that. And I was so delighted when he came back. But yeah, something is awry right now. But last week we played St Mirren in the Cup, and something was different, Liam. He actually changed the shape of the team. Interestingly enough, midway through the second half, when he reverted back to the familiar sort of 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, I felt we kind of lost control of the game. But I felt with the 4-4-2 that we were playing, or 4-4-1-1, with a striker that just drops a little bit deeper just behind the main centre forward, I think we were pretty comfortable in that game. We were doing all right. Palmer obviously set up a goal as well. But I think now, Liam, this will be his system through to the end of the season. I think he knows now that he cannot afford to go back to what he was doing up to that's got us to this point, got us into this title race that we don't want to be in. I think Liam, when it comes to the formation mode, I think he will set out in a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 anyway. I don't think we'll see it as a 4-3-3.
Rodgers, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I didn't think Greg Taylor walked back into the team. So, and he said that in his press conference, So that means he might be going back to that old model as well, where they're going inverted defenders or whatever it is he was trying to do, where, with Greg Taylor out in right wing periodically. I don't know. I threw Rodgers under the bus last week. Last week I said, fuck, I'm done with him. I think he's lost it. I don't think he's near what he was. And I think sometimes that, that sort of motivational stuff, that sort of, how he develops a team there, you lose that magic. Just like you see artists, you see musicians, all sorts of people. It's just not there anymore. And I just don't think he's any confidence I had in Rodgers, I've sort of lost. So my confidence in him doing what the fans think is right, what we all agree is right, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's still very much the Brendan ego, the part that we like him for, is part we don't like him for as well. I'll do it my way, watch me. And watching that square peg into a round hole, doing it again and again, it loses his confidence in that as well. But it's just thinking one time it'll do it. He's got to do something different against Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
They've bossed us this year. Derek McInnes has looked like the manager. Their substitutions have been better. They've all come on at the end. They all looked like they were going to romp, and they'd beaten us even by more at the end of the game. It wasn't so they beat us fair and square. And I've got a feeling that's coming tomorrow unless he does something different. And that takes courage. And it also takes Brendan. You say sometimes, you've got to listen to your supporters. We're seeing the same product. I know it's all nuances, right? It's not like he's got a vast superior football knowledge than any of us watching. So if it's there, fix it. You know,
Yep.
someone told me, like in advertising and creative, you know, somebody tells you something wrong with something, you know, like a piece of art or something. Someone says there's something wrong with it. They're almost always right. But see, when they tell you how to fix it, they're almost always wrong, you know. And so I think that's the same way he looks at us fans as well.
Yeah.
But there is something wrong with this team, and he needs to fix it. And last week looked like he was starting to fix it, and we reversed to the other, as you said.
Yep.
It didn't look as solid anymore.
That totally, and you noticed a massive drop off at that point. Yeah, we were 2-0 up at that stage, but still, you could see the if we were only 1-0 in front at that point, who knows what could have happened there. James Murdoch's came in, great point as well. Did Lennon not change the formation at this time of the year in his second time as manager and won the league? Yes, he did, and that was again a similar. Like I we won like 11, 12 games on the bounce or something after the January break, and we had all the momentum going into that third meeting with them, and then of course coronavirus happened and everything went down the Swanee essentially. But yeah, you're right. It was we lost to Rangers at the New Year game at Celtic Park. They beat us 2-1. Katic scored and came back for the Dubai break, and we played 3-5-2. Lenny and Griffiths up front, absolutely romped it. And Olivia and Cham looked like a new player in the middle of the park. You had Rogic, you had McGregor, Brown, whoever was playing, whatever midfield trio he went for in the middle of that 3-5-2. They were just firing on all cylinders. And yeah, it just reinvigorated the team. So Brendan Rodgers needs to hope that that is what he gets from them. Because, yes, Ian McIntosh also said, and this is quite crazy. McInnes is confident. Why shouldn't he be? Because one of the running jokes when Brendan Rodgers was manager first time around is we played Aberdeen so many times because, you know, we've met them in cup finals multiple times when he was manager. We seem to be playing Aberdeen a lot. And Derek McInnes just never, ever seemed to get the better of him at all. And it's like, we never had anything to worry about whenever we played McInnes. And even once Brendan had left and McInnes was still up at Aberdeen, he still couldn't get results against us. But obviously this season he's found what works. Although I will say, to caveat that, I think their home ground is what benefits them. Because remember, they've beaten Rangers at Rugby Park this season. They've beaten us twice at Rugby Park in the league and the cup. So that's the common denominator. It's their plastic pitch. It's definitely a leveler. But same time, there are plastic pitches at Lennoxtown. These guys are professional footballers. They know that this is on the fixture calendar every year. This is not a surprise. This isn't something like, oh my God, it's a plastic pitch. What do we do? They know this is coming up. So they need to be prepared for them. You know, when Brendan was here the first time around, he had a few bad results at Rugby Park and he had a stalemate at Almondvale. And it's like, we always seem to be never prepared for these plastic pitches, despite the fact we've got the facilities at Lennoxtown to train on that. But I've brought up before on this show, Liam, talking about what goes on at training. Ange Postecoglou revealed last year when it comes to set pieces, Celtic don't practice set pieces, and it body shows. I think it's still the case. So who knows what they do at training. But yeah, the plastic pitch stuff, I do think it is a leveler for Kilmarnock. So there's no excuse tomorrow. We're on our home park, but let's just quickly talk about that, Liam. The Celtic Park has been looking a bit turgid recently in terms of the surface. I thought the January break was designed to protect the pitches and let them get back to their best. But the two games that we've played since then is Buckie Thistle and Ross County. And I think the weather is to be pretty brutal tomorrow, heavy rain forecasted. That's not going to lend itself to a pretty game of football, is it?
No, 99 problems and a pitch is one. Just fucking pile on the rest of it. It looks, I don't know what's happened as well. It's like, check, what's the last name of the groundskeeper now? Is he a Strachan? Is he a Lyle? Is he a Nicholson? I mean, like, even the groundkeeper needs his jotters. It's like, what's happened to a club, man? It's like, even the fucking pitch is a mess. And I thought Rodgers was all about, was Rodgers no trying to get what was called a T4 pitch or something like that?
A G4 pitch, he was a hybrid essentially. Well, that means
upgrade so that we could play this fast continental football. Could we only afford the bits around the horseshoe? Did we lay it in a circle?
Yep.
So they only go backwards and, you know, there's none of that in the middle of the pitch. You know, because that's what it looks like we paid for. Or if we got it or not. Did we get it? Or we got the right one?
The hybrid pitch was the first time, if I remember right, that didn't really settle too well and it ended up cutting up. So it's like, it just feels like you can't really win. As Graham Tyrrell says, in Scotland, it's winter, all pitches are fucked. He's no lying, to be fair, is the case. But that's what the winter break was actually designed for, ironically, was to allow the pitches to recover. But it doesn't seem to work, especially for us. But yeah, we'll be playing on that tomorrow.
The place is covered in green. I mean, like, there's got to be somebody in Scotland that knows how to keep a pitch. There's junior pitches that get played on just as much as well that don't cut as much as that. You know, and they're not getting paid on all the time. I think girls play there now and again. But it needs to be better. You know, there's pitches all over the world. It rains in Bulgaria in the winter as well, and their pitches nowhere near the state yours.
But touching quickly then on the rest of the back line before we move on from the great Greg Taylor, the main event of the back line. I know you love talking about him, but obviously centre back pairing with CCV being injured, Nawrocki got a few games. Now he's kind of on the outskirts again. Stephen Welsh getting a start, but Stephen Welsh again just seems to be, I don't know what he's made of, chocolate. There was a moment last week where he basically put himself on the line and crashed into the post, and it was like, well, that's him out. But he obviously recovered from it. But even the Hibs game before that, there was a point where he fell awkwardly. He went off against Rangers. He went off against Feyenoord. And it's like, God, our back line are so cursed at the moment. But in terms of the centre-back pairing, it's either going to be Scales with Nawrocki or Scales with Welsh. What do you think, Liam? Who's going to get the nod in that one?
I think it'll be Scales Welsh. I think play well when he plays for us.
That's the frustrating bit. He does play all right. I mean, but it's just he seems to be just injury prone as well, like the rest of them. The back line is cursed.
And I like Welsh when he plays with Alston. Seems to play better as well. I know Tony will be playing tomorrow. So I'd go with Welsh. I think he's got what it takes against a Kilmarnock side that I think up front's going to try and bully us. You know, so I think Welsh has got that wee bit extra bit of toughness. Nawrocki, I think he's got all that, but I don't know what Rodgers is doing with him. I'd like to have seen him there, taking him off for the second half. I'm not 100% sure that was the right thing. I mean, it was like Bambi on ice at that goal, like backing up and just completely collapsed. But Van Veen, I think I've always
say.
He had Greg Taylor run a bit like he was trying to dry his clays last time. So, trying to dry a lash. But, so I think they've always got a striker right back to the days of it. Was it Curtis Main and stuff that used to play with them and would come on.
Well, that was Motherwell. You're thinking when Van Veen was a Motherwell player. They had Curtis Main. Now St Mirren have got Curtis Main, I think. Or he was definitely there last season. But yeah, a big physical striker is always going to be a problem for us because these teams are just going to lump the ball into the box. There's a similar pattern at games at Celtic Park, Liam. Obviously, teams come in, they sit deep, low block, and obviously their plan is to try and keep it 0-0 for as long as possible. And even if it goes to 1-0, they'll still continue doing the same time wasting because then what they do is if it gets to 10 minutes to go and it's only just a goal in it, they will still lump everything forward. If it goes to like 2-0, 3-0, that's it. The game plan is definitely done. But if they can keep it close, they'll always, last 10 minutes if if it's a big physical striker, big diagonals up to him, it's going to be, he wins knock-ons and stuff like that. It's going to be a bit of a problem for us. So we have to be ready for that. But the key, of course, Liam, is if we just take our chances. Because with the way it stands right now in the league table, it's not just obviously the points as well. We're now looking at goals. Goal difference could be so crucial in this one. So 1-0s and 2-0s might not necessarily do. We need to be looking at putting 3, 4 and up the way past these teams now. And making sure that we don't concede, because I say it could be that close at the end of the season. The goal difference may come, and there's still plenty of chances getting made in games if we squander them. Obviously, Kyogo might not be in the same positions that he usually is, and that's of course down to systems and whatnot. But now is the time to not mess about. If they get a chance, there's none of this. And I've used it before, talking about players using their own intuition, where I know they might be micromanaged and, told to do this and do that. But sometimes if it opens up in front of you and the space is there, have a shot at goal instead of try to pass it sideways and try and walk it in the net. Because, now, Liam, we have to be putting these chances away. 1-0s and 2-0s will not necessarily do.
Yeah, I find it frustrating that we're not creating chances. We're not, and we're missing penalties, and we're, I haven't even seen us miss a lot of chances in the last 3 or 4 games because we're just no. So I think it's really important. I mean, Christ, this season will come down to us. If you look at the penalties we missed,
I know.
the season or no. Who would have thought that would have been us? You know, that's what I think we need to go with the two up front. You know, and just this is Kilmarnock we're playing. It's no Atletico Madrid. You know, and just try and overpower them. We've got, if we play the same game as them and it's just one-on-ones in the midfield and everything else pushed to the left side, they'll beat us. So we need to find a way to expand that park better, involve players, get Kyogo involved, but get that ball coming in for the wing and for the back. I'm happy Anthony Ralston's playing tomorrow because I think he provides better service to our forwards than some of our midfielders do. And I'm hoping that he has a good game tomorrow. You know, we've shown him a bit of confidence. And I hope this isn't another case. I know I'm jumping to defence here, but another case of Johnson walking into the team. He should be nowhere near that team until he's ready to come back. And then when he does, so far I think Ralston's put in better performances than what I've seen Johnson all year. And so I want to see Tony Ralston get a shot because I really, really think he deserves it. For, you know, talk about GT one more time, the amount of people that I see on Twitter and argue with on Twitter that you know, it's like, oh, Ralston's shite, this and that, but Taylor's one of our elite players. I don't see it. If you look at the grief that and the stuff that Ralston gets for our own fan base and our supporters, and then you look at what gets sort of propagated towards Taylor, I really don't understand that. I think there are two players that are where I think Ralston is much better on ability, and yet Greg Taylor's a walking back into the team. You know, so I want to see a big game for him, and I think this is cut out for him. You know, he is a good player. You know, I listened to Mark and Boyce the other night talking about. I think Mark had a really good point. He thinks Ralston won as a league, and I totally agree with that. That was for us, and that was a big moment. But there was also times as well in Europe where he had sliding tackles coming across the box to protect the left post. You know, and you've seen once, and I've also seen him set up really good goals as well. And so I'm hoping if we can get him a bit more confidence, freedom to get up the park, Matt O'Reilly, cover him, get some wing that's going to come back and fill in for him, or watch for that overlap, because he likes that overlap and he gets that ball low and hard across the front, and we're missing that. And I think our guys will put those in, right? Yeah. So definitely Kyogo. And I want to see a Dasco if we won't play tomorrow.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of the midfield, I've got this feeling that he's going to stick to what he did last week with this 4-4-2, or 4-4-1-1, whatever. Basically, 4 across the middle instead of the 3 condensed in the middle and then 3 forwards. So that begs the question, right? What 2 would get the nod? Because I like balance. This is me. This is my own OCD kicking in, essentially. But obviously, McGregor's left-footed and Matt O'Reilly is left-footed, I believe. So it's like, but they are probably, if you're looking at our centre mid options, they are probably the best 2. They obviously started last week as well against St Mirren. Would you go with the 2, or would you? I mean, in terms of form, O'Reilly's been one of our best players, although his form has dipped recently. I think it's definitely... We saw clips of him away in Dubai in the January break there. They got a wee bit of time off. Maybe his form stayed in Dubai. I don't know if it came through customs. But yeah, since he's came back, since the January break, he's not been hitting the heights. But this is when we're going again. We need him to step up. So I can't hammer this home enough. 13 cup finals basically staring them in the face here. It's like, this is the time we've got ourselves into this hole. We need to dig ourselves out. So I do think if he is going to go with 4 across, the line of 4 across, I think it's going to be McGregor, obviously playing captain after all. And I think it will be O'Reilly alongside him, Liam. Or do you think he will revert to having 3 in the middle of the park again?
I think he'll have 3. If he has 3, Awata. I think he was he was on the bench. I always think he looks solid when he comes on. He's another one that's just... He looks like a good, tidy player for us, and then he disappears at the team. When he got injured against Atletico, I think, I thought he was playing really, really well. I think he looked composed. He did not look at a place in a Champions League game. Anytime I've seen him, other than playing, like centre midfield, and even then, I don't think he did too bad. Other than that, I think it was a header or something he lost in the 18-yard line that cost us a goal. And that's the one thing I've seen negative, seen him do. But other than that, I know. I think he looks a really, really good player. Looks tough. He looks physical, and that's a physical side. That side of their park. I remember them always causing us troubles and being. I can't remember his name, Sterling or something like that. That plays on that side. They've got a few cluggers on there that love to take a body, and I think you need a bit of steel and all that. So I don't know if Bernardo, this isn't the technical type of game for him. I think he needs just with a bit more bite, bit more. Because I think they'll try and bully us all out of the park tomorrow. You know, and we seem a very frail team, both mentally and physically at the moment. We're still a lot of very small wingers and players that pose themselves the way a guy like Jota or something could. Certainly not. I don't know, might be a good idea. Do you think we've seen the last of old Phil? Let me ask you a question. Do you think? Come on.
I don't think we've seen the last of him, but in terms of starting, I don't think he'll get much in the way of starts. Although if he is going to stick with this 2-man up front, is Ida going to play every single game? I don't know. I mean, any day he's only got 3 options as strikers: Kyogo, Ida, and O. Now, interestingly enough, before the St Mirren game, obviously last week he changed the formation. Before the game, he was asked in the sort of pre-match, in the interview in the tunnel, where he basically said about, now we've got the tools to play this system. It was like, well, for half a season, you have had the tools to play 2 up front effectively, and you haven't. So was that I'm going to say a ringing endorsement? No, it's more a damning indictment of what he thinks of Lowe, which wouldn't be the first time that he's kind of threw that subtle hint out there about what he thinks of some of the players. But yeah, I found that quite interesting when he said that about, now we've got the tools to play that. And it's like, well, technically speaking, Brendan, you've had them there the entire time. So that says to me that he's took a look at O. And again, it goes back to what we've said before. You go back to the press conference in the summer when he was unveiled. I'm really happy with the structure here. I'm really happy with the recruitment, the job that Mark's doing, Mark Lawwell, happy with this. And again, what you're saying, Brendan, does not compute with what we're seeing with our own eyes. It's like, it baffles me, man. It really does. I think he'll get some fleeting substitute appearances, but I think if he's going to do 2 up front, I guess it'll be Ida and Kyogo all the time.
I mean, he'd plenty of time to go and look at new toolboxes and add many tools. You know, the shop was open just last month. You know, there's still some shops open. You might not get as good at tools, but there's still plenty out there. So if you're making any comments and you're hard done by, Brendan, fuck off. We're not believing it anymore. That's what.
I'm familiar with your game, Brendan. I've heard this before. I'm familiar with what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, no mugs, mate. Come on. You know, it's our first Celtic team or our second Celtic team. We've been with this club for life.
Indeed.
We've talked this shit before. So either do it or don't do it. You know, you'll be Yoda. There's no Isney or Gonny.
Yeah, exactly. So with the midfield, if the wide players we'll look at now, because there's one name that conclusively we can say will definitely not feature, and this is a problem because he's a very useful player when he's on form, and it's quite unfortunate that we're now going into this title race, this real nitty-gritty title race, and we're effectively losing this player. Because, we might as well talk about it. I put it in the subject tonight of the show. But Liel Abada today at his press conference, Brendan said what I think we all kind of knew what was going on, because he missed the game against St Mirren last week, and he was asked about it. And he says, we've gave him a few days off. I'm going to catch up with him again through the week. We'll see where his head's at. So Brendan gave us an update on that today and basically confirmed that his head still isn't in the right place. And it's probably best that he gets a move away from the club now. Whether that means right now, because there are still some markets open. I believe the North American market is still open, the MLS, I believe that is. So, I mean, Giakoumakis is out there. Maybe Giakoumakis can put a word in for him getting out to Atlanta United. But I don't know what other ones are, but I know that's one that's definitely there. And yeah, maybe he can go out there and be just as successful as Lewis Morgan's been. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be without Abada. I would say if he stays to the end of the season and doesn't play a game, then you may as well try and get him a move now if it is possible to get him out in some capacity, if he's going to be no use to us, if it's the case. But I say it's unfortunate because I say the boy has had some great moments for the club in the last 2 and a bit years. And this narrative that's going on, I don't know if it's necessarily the media are pushing it, but I know fans of certain other teams are pushing the narrative that we, the Celtic fans, are the ones that forced him out. No, we didn't. You go back to that game against Rangers at the turn of the year. I was there in the stadium. He came on with a few minutes to go, came on after a long injury layoff, and the whole stadium was behind him. There was no boos. There was nothing. There was no banners unfurled anywhere about get this guy out of the club. Nothing like that at all. You know, at the end of the day, he's got people in his ear influencing him and telling him, you know, this isn't a good image going back to his home country and whatnot. I say it's unfortunate for us. We're the ones that we're going to get punished for this because he's a good player when he's on it. But if he puts in performances like he did against Hibs and his mind's not in it, he's no good to his Liam. Unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and he's going to have to go in some capacity.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, North America might be a good place for him. You know, as I said last week, it's not many places that will have that sort of empathy for him that he's expecting for his support. You know, he's not the first player to play during a war. You know, Kieran Tierney couldn't get a game for a guy that was getting played, Ukrainian, right? You know, his country was at war as well, and his country was being attacked. You know, I don't know. I don't know what he's wanting for us, and I don't know what sort. I mean, the Israeli FA must fucking hate us.
Well, the national team manager has basically said as much, yes.
And you know what? I'm quite happy he hates us because our support is never. This isn't like a trend or we're jumping on a bandwagon or anything here. They've always known what our views are, and so is he, and so is Beaton when he was here, and Kyle and all that. We've always had that unwavering support for Palestine because a lot of our supporters understand what's going on and have a deeper connection through empathy of what we believe that conflict is right now. And right now, I don't know. When you look back on this, you know, I'm happy that our supporters aren't supporting a genocide, and that we're willing to call that stuff out, and yet we're not calling it a player. So, you know, you go to a Pink Floyd concert or go see Roger Waters, and you see our Celtic fan base, the Green Brigade, other people that got involved and did that Palestinian demonstration. And tell you what, I went and saw Pink Floyd with a bunch of pals, and I was so fucking proud. So that's my team.
Because he uses the backdrop of the Green Brigade to the Palestinian flags for 2016, wasn't it?
No, yeah, they're showing you all the freedom fighters all around the world and the people willing to stand up for injustice. And there's no other football team, much bigger football teams in the world, but nobody gets that sort of press that we get when it comes to just being real about things and all that, and and having an understanding of what conflict is, and that nobody should be persecuted no matter who they are. And right now, yeah, my opinion is Gaza is a genocide right now, and I'm happy and I'm proud to be on the right side of that. And that offer's open to Abada'S as well too, but his upbringing is completely different, man. He seems to be so in there, and he's getting pressure. But all right, so some players can take pressure, some players can't, and he can't. And I don't know what his actual circumstances. He might live in an area where people are shouting at him and stuff like that. You get the fuck out or whatever. I mean, who knows? I don't know unless I'm in his shoes. But to me, I don't know. I don't like. I think what we will see is when this is, whatever the situation is, when it comes to it, we'll see what sort of man he is then.
Yeah, well, look at Neil Beaton. Look at what he's been saying. It didn't stop Neil Beaton from picking up a paycheck for 9 years office. And our fans' opinions on that conflict, because this isn't something that just started a couple months ago. This has been a long, long conflict out there. Our fans have always been very much on the side of the Palestine side, and it's like Neil Beaton knew that, but now that he's away from the club, he's been very vocal on social media about it, and he, of course, was very close to Liel Abada. What's he saying to him? What's he getting in his ear and saying? So we know what the national team manager said about Celtic fans and whatnot. So yeah, it's unfortunate for us, Liam, because we're losing a good player who could be very useful for us at this time, because let's be honest, our wing play has been absolutely dire this season. Danny Dyer, Nathan Dyer, whatever Dyer you want to say, all rolled into one. It has been woeful at times. It feels like it's non-existent. The horseshoe, as you like to say, the way we pass it about. And yeah, it's like, well, that's a very useful player. We've already loaned out Mikey Johnson, not that he was much better. James Forrest is still hanging around. What does he really do in terms of that? A lot of fans don't want to see James Forrest playing again. Maeda's came back for the Asian Cup, and I don't know. He could have left his forum back out there as well. Some of the touches he had against Hibs and whatnot, and then he scored, of course, against St Mirren, but he was in the right place at the right time, and they all count, Liam. But yeah, even he looked kind of like, but embarrassed when he scored that one because he nearly missed it. And yet Palmer, who's had his ups and downs, I thought last week, he did well with the assist for Kyogo. That driven pass across Kyogo, first time finish. But yeah, whoever gets the nod tomorrow playing out wide, whether he does a front three or he goes with 4 across the middle and you've got 2 wide players there, they've got to be on it again, because it's just pointless just passing it out wide and then passing it back the way into the middle or into the back line again, not going anywhere. There has to be some sort of end product. And that's why I say it's so frustrating with the Leila Bada situation, because when he's available and when he is on it, he's such a useful asset. But sadly, that's just what we find ourselves now. So who do you think gets the nod? I'll say Maeda and Palmer probably get the nod for the wide players tomorrow, going on what happened last week. But yeah, it was a bit of an up and down performance for both of them.
Honestly, I'm done with Palmer. Palmer,
done.
I've seen enough. That sounds harsh at this stage. But his attitude towards penalty kicks, his attitude towards his defensive responsibilities, the blast in the bar or the net, and the fucking big smile and the laughter, at Gomez Adams' face, so, I'd rather see Yang get a chance back in the wing. Rodgers was talking about him in that press conference, saying that he's seen, he's got a lot to offer. He's looked really sharp since he came back for, playing with Korea. I mean, I thought he's looked good in touches. He just needs a good game. I don't know if Kilmarnock's the right team for him, but I don't know. He's tough, right? Another one that was in the army, wasn't he? So,
yeah.
I'm telling you, some armies are these wee guys that.
Aye. Well, it's really... the glove saying that Yang's going to be the man. He can feel it. Oh, there you go. He's predicting it. Yang. So Yang at times he's been up and down as well. He's had moments where I remember it was St Mirren we played at Celtic Park in about October time. And if it was Yang that came on and changed the game and scored the winner that day, but Palmer was having an absolute shocker that night. He went off and Yang looked up for it. But then you got a wee run of games. He scored against Aberdeen in that 6-0 rout, and then he had that shocking performance at McDermott Park where I think he just didn't know what the offside rule was or anything. Just nothing was going right for him. He got hooked at half time, and I think he was the one that Brendan was very firmly aiming his post-match rant at, where he was like, there's some players, he just had a real go at him, and he's got to be Yang he's talking about, because Yang didn't really get a game after that. But yeah, again, we're wing play at the moment, but of course we've got Kuhn as well, who's obviously the new boy, where I was really hopeful when he came on and scored against Aberdeen with just minutes on the park. Okay, yes, big deflection on it. But yeah, it was great. Then he played against Hibs, and again he may as well have not been playing. But again, it's just sort of the sort of tradition of our wing play this season, Liam. This is like indicative of what it is. We don't seem to have any real product at all. What's happened to beating a fullback, get to the byline, get a cross in. Instead, it's like get the ball, pass it inside, pass it back the way, and it just keeps going round in a pattern. And it's like, we need to start and say, look at last week, good ball out to Palmer, he runs onto it, driven pass right into Kyogo's path, and that was a goal. And it's like, that's more what you guys need to be doing. That's what we need to be seeing from the wing play, because they're effectively a man down if they're not doing that. So whoever gets the nod, they've got to obviously come up trumps for us. They've got to. But yeah, we'll see about the footage of that one.
Who's been the best this week in training of beating that horseshoe?
Right? Yeah, beating the horseshoe. Aye.
Knows how to get inside the horseshoe, and that's what it is. Like when we set up inside their half, and then we, our back lines practically get the ball, stop, pass it to Callum McGregor, pass it back to Chris Taylor, go to Scales, go to the other side. And by the time it gets to our forward as well, it's like they're getting the ball on the touchline and everybody's just lining up, to in front of them and they go, because we're trying to come right back in again through that same channel. Whereas, right, we're not extending it into the byline, we're not getting it across. So I think Yang's better at that. I think he's got some speed as well. Might be a good game for Kuhn as well.
He needs to start showing it. He was the only player that we spent money on in the January window. So hopefully.
5.5-year contract.
Yeah.
That's a cracker, that one, for a guy nobody'd really seen or heard of before. And so I think there's pressure on him to come out and start, like fulfilling some of that promise that we just showed by signing him, because we made that sound like that was a big signing. Well, unfortunately, it was a big signing.
It was.
And so, okay, Brendan, if you're happy with that, and that was what you needed to complete this team, to do it, you're fine with everything else. Show us what you saw in him. Show us when you saw him, you said, if I told him to do this, if I know I could get him to do that, that would change the dynamic of our forward line. Show us what you saw in him. Show us what you thought that was going to be, what that would look like. Because right now, it doesn't offer anything else. He's just James Forrest without any medals,
Yeah, so we need to find a system that works right now. I know that we've got in the chat tonight, I'll bring it up. So Ali has said that we're on a negative roll tonight, but we're just saying it like it is. It hasn't been great football to watch. Right now, we're in this weird sort of rut where we've thrown away a pretty healthy lead in the league. I mean, back in October time, you had Russell and Terry coming on the PMP and going, it's over. We call it now. That's it. It's over. I think when we beat St Johnstone and McDermott after that really turgid game that I just mentioned, when Yang just didn't know what the offside rule was or anything, I think we were 11 points clear at that point in time. And yeah, it's now we find ourselves in this position, and only we can get ourselves out, or the manager has to find a way. Last week, he changed it up. He rolled the dice, and I thought it looked very effective for the time that he was in that system. But when we went back to the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it, I felt like we lost a bit of control of the game. So it's like, well, if that worked quite effectively, stick to that. But it might be one of these horses for courses thing where it's just like who he's up against, what team it is. He might need to change it essentially for which one. So tomorrow, I'd like to think that we can keep to that system he tried last week against St Mirren and go for it. 2 up top is what so many fans are pining for. But again, he might look at Kilmarnock and just think with them being a really physical team, very stodgy, just try and pack the middle. But realistically, Celtic Park, we should be just going for the jugular because, again, as I said earlier on, we need goals. We need lots of goals here. We need to start racking up wins and big wins, because if this comes down to goal difference, and as you said, Liam, and you're right to say this, see if we end up losing this by unfortunately a couple of goals, and you look back on the penalties that we missed, it's like, oh Jesus, that is a worrying sign. But don't worry, we seem to have a penalty taker, mate, because Ida, obviously he scored a couple of penalties recently against Hibs. He did obviously tuck a few away, so I'd like to think that if we do happen to get a penalty, and apparently according to the stats we get the most in the country, which is hard to believe, but again, if you keep missing them, then obviously it doesn't really ring in your head that, oh yeah, we get loads of penalties if we keep bloody missing them. But yeah, if this is a guy that can tuck them away under pressure like that, then it could be a very useful weapon, because again, it could come down to something as fine as a couple of goals. So hopefully, if we do happen to get a spot kick at some point, Ida is on the park and tucks it away like he did against Hibs.
I mean, the specialty, man. It's like he's just there for the penalties. Maybe we can get him taking corners as well, get more use out of him.
Yeah.
You take a free kick. I don't know. I mean, that's what it's come to, yeah. That we've got a guy that we want on the park because nobody else can take a penalty. I think Kyogo's got to step up and start taking penalties again. The one he missed, he hit the inside of the post. I don't think you get one penalty and then your son died. Fucking Palmer get 2 in the one game. So I don't think it's one of these. I get Kyogo right now because I think that's a confidence builder as well. I don't see how that pressure is too much for Kyogo, or Kyogo doesn't have the power or the finesse. I've seen him do it for 18 yards. I've seen him do it for 25 yards. He can do it for, was it 19? 19, right? So, Rangers, 17 for Rangers, 19 for us. But yeah. Going back to that negative comment about us being negative and all that, I think you just I think when you look at anything subjectively, you find the flaws, and then I think what we're trying to do with loads of the viewers and people here helping is like we are trying just sort of configure, how do you solve this problem? And I think that's what I think about these podcasts, and I listen to many because I like to hear how people solve a problem. And we've got problems. We were 8 points ahead at one point, and now we're one goal difference away. And so that is negative in itself. So there's no sense that we're not bringing on the negativity. And I don't want to be anybody's fucking cheerleader. This isn't what it's about. There's plenty of that. You can go watch Celtic TV and the wee ventriloquist dummy guy. He can give you all the good you want.
Jerry
No, the other wee one, Ryan. I mean, with a wee smiley guy. I mean, if you like your news that way, there's plenty of options as that. But, you like to look at things, you like to fix it, you like to see things as it is. You don't have to tell everybody. There's plenty of podcasts that we've done. There's times where, fuck, I've been on here like just cheerleading, thinking we're going to beat Real Madrid and shit. And,
Yeah, the optimism, the guessy, I know. And I remember coming on after the Atletico Madrid draw and being like, buzzing after it. And then we played them in the second leg a few weeks later and they beat us 6-0. So that was I had a bit of invigoration. Like, okay, we've gave ourselves a wee chance to do something in this group. All we got to do is this, and this. And the very next game, we got absolutely horsed, unfortunately. It's a part and parcel of being a football fan. But yeah, this is the hand that Brendan's now got to the end of the season. Whether you want to look at the board being culpable for that, he's played a part in it as well. Hasn't been forceful enough. But this is what we've got now through the end of the season, and we have to obviously, and I said this before a couple of weeks ago on the show, I went, regardless of what we think of how the January window went, and obviously many of us have got strong opinions on it, we need to get behind this team now. This is it. We now find ourselves, we're in the trenches here. We don't want to be in the trenches. We've been used to having it quite comfortable for a few years now, a good few years now, and now we're in a bit of a battle. But I think I brought this up on last Sunday on the Blair, maybe even last Friday. But 2 years ago, Ange Postecoglou's first season went down to the second last game before we won the title officially. It was 4 points in it in the end. So it's so most of the players that are still there in this squad right now were there 2 years ago. So they have been over the course when it comes to a title race that goes quite deep into the season. So you'd like to think they can draw on that experience and help some of the newer players. Because obviously Rangers have done a lot of chopping and changing in the last couple of years. Michael Beale did a bit of a number on their team with some of the players that he brought in and has basically left there. And yeah, obviously they're getting a tune now out of a lot of these guys, but there's a lot of them they haven't got the experience of winning, titles essentially. I say over a 38-game season, but yeah, most of our team that are there right now were there 2 years ago in the 2022 season when we did win the title. And I say did go deep. Okay, yeah, we did have that. I think it was like a 9-point gap we kept opening up. Once it was that last season. It was like one of these ones where they kept on closing it and we kept pushing them back. But yeah, it was the second last game against Dundee United where we went 4 points clear with 2 games to go, and that was it. So that's obviously that's going to game number 37 out of 38. So I say I'd like to think that the Kyogos, Matt O'Reilly's, Callum McGregor in particular, Carter Vickers, Hatate, all these guys were all there. Joe Hart, they were all there at Tannadice the night that we won the title in 2022. So you'd like to think, they'll be in that dressing room, in the training ground, really drilling into them, about get the guys like Palmer and stuff like that. This is what it's going to take for us to get over the line. Say right now as it stands, it's 13 games. So Celtic, obviously, it sounds so easy to say it. If they win all the games, then obviously they've won the title. They could win 12 and draw at Ibrox, and they could win the title. They could even lose at Ibrox and still win the title, but it'll come to the goal difference then. As long as they win every other game, will Rangers drop some more points, Liam? Remember, they're still in Europe as well. They're going to have to play Thursday night games, Thursday, Sunday schedule. That can always be a bit of a killer. It seems like teams up and down the UK, Scotland and England, don't particularly like a Thursday, Sunday schedule. Could that play a part in it? I mean, realistically, I don't want to see them going that deep in that tournament. I remember what happened 2 years ago, where it's like it was a bit too close for comfort. I don't want to see that. I would rather they just get knocked out at the nearest possible freeze. But I can understand there will be fans that will say, you want them to stay in a bit longer because they're playing the games. But to me, just get them out, whatever. I say there was that infamous cup semi-final we played against them where they went to extra time the Thursday night, and we thought, we'll just turn up and we'll beat them. There's a Greg Taylor scored that day, in fact, and we bottled the lead. But they looked more energetic in the next time. So to me, I don't necessarily buy into the whole, they'll be zapped to energy. But these are all wee factors that we're going to have to look at. But ultimately, it is still in Celtic's hands. Yes, it's frustrating that we've lost it, but as it stands right now, and again, go back to something I said earlier in the show, I have seen this chapter before. I have seen Celtic go on winning runs. There's been a few references tonight. It is possible, looking at who they've got to go up against, and it must start tomorrow. It has started with a resounding victory.
So, Phil, I think tomorrow's, let's look at a wee positive vibe, right? Positive vibe. Tomorrow, you know what I'd like to see? I want to see Callum McGregor step up. I want to see, okay, we've got a lot of turmoil going on. This team is crying out for a leader. You know, tomorrow she can show leadership on the park. We've got things. Show us that the dressing room is galvanised. Show them that you can be the loudest one in the park. You can be the loudest one in the dressing room. You know, the guys like Palmer and stuff, as you said, you know, not knowing what it's like to go into this title. Do that leadership on the field, because we'll see it. I think he talked us through that Rangers game. I thought he was very, very good when we played Rangers at Ibrox. Very good. I think we need another Callum McGregor performance like that. And I've not seen that since the Rangers game. And so that's you need a good captain. Captain's going to stand up, pull this team together, and come out tomorrow and deliver a performance where we're positive, we're energetic, and we're not going to get bullied by Kilmarnock at home. Right? Yeah. Show us the jersey. Show us why you're captain of Celtic tomorrow. That's positive, you know. Yeah. And I think he's got all that. He's got that to do it. He's got all that within him, and he's got everything around him to support him to accomplish that tomorrow. Let's have a big game, Callum. You know, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, definitely. He needs to lead on the park and show us, because he's been over the course. He's won plenty of medals. He knows what it takes. So he is the type of guy that the players should be looking to, and he should be looking to influence them out in the park. And get us over that line. Because when you look at what we've got available and you look at what we're coming up against, we shouldn't be bothered and worried about most of these teams. You know, the trickiest tie that we're going to face is going to go to Ibrox. We've already won there this season during an injury crisis. We went there and we beat them. Yeah, so it is possible. It's just mental that, you know, we've beat them twice this season, and here we are. We find ourselves in the same number of points right now. It's just frustrating. You know, we've only got ourselves to blame for that. But I say, we're still in our hands. As long as we do our job and do it well, then we can do this. And as I've said this a few times on the show, despite, you know, some of the shaky results, I still think Celtic will go on and win the title. But obviously, it's going to be a lot closer than we thought it was going to be a few months ago. But I do think, by hook or by crook, if we have to stumble over the line, I think we'll just get there. Whether we win the double or not, that's whether here nor there. Obviously, I would like it if we did. That would be a fantastic way to end the season. But ultimately, the league title is the big prize. But we're all football fans. We're all a bit greedy. So it'd be nice if you do win the double, Celtic. But tomorrow, Kilmarnock, Liam, what is your score prediction then before we head off?
Okay. I said last time, I said I think we dropped points, so we did.
Oh no! Well, don't say that again.
No, and I don't want to do that. I'm not confident Greg Taylor walking back into the team. That just shows me when it's wrong, that we're not addressing situations and we're just juggling. That there doesn't seem to be a real plan to get better. It's just like to survive to the end of the season. It's like fix that left back position. If it's no Bernabei, it's no Greg Taylor. It might be something else. Can I want to play left back? I mean, I played left back. It's not that hard. You know, you get the whatever your shite. You know, but fuck. I'm gonna say 2-1 Celtic, and that's I want an inspirational performance for Callum McGregor and Greg Taylor with a hat trick, one disallowed.
Right, okay, let's take a look at some of the other scores. Pat Scanlon says 2-0 to God's 11. Oh, Pat O saying 0-0. Timmy Bing saying 0-0 as well. And Joe Henry saying 2 each. Oh, what's going on here? We were the ones, Liam, we were the ones earlier on from a comment from Ali saying we were on a negative roll. What is this? What is this? Unbelievable. Graham Tyrrell, though, he's restored it. There you go, 5-0. That's more like it. Come on, man. That's, I see. Ian says 4-0 tomorrow. Kyogo, either 2 apiece. Phone your tough accountant now. There you go. 420 somewhere says 4-0. 4-0 somewhere tomorrow. I hope it's at Celtic Park. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, because it needs to not just be a win, but a good a good point. We narrow. I know ultimately the points, you know, obviously it's the first tiebreaker, but yeah, it could come to a goal difference. So I'm going to say, I usually say 2-0 as a sort of safe one, but I'm going to go for 3 this time. I'm going to push it up by 1. Maybe a bit more adventure. I'll go 3-0. I'll say 3-0. Yeah, I'll say 3-0. I'll go for that. Aye.
Look forward to seeing Terry with the big measures tomorrow if we do 3.
Walker came in and he said 2-1 Celtic Kyogo double. Yeah, I could get him back on form. Ian McIntosh, he said 3-1 to Celtic. So yeah, a few draws in there predicted. I said, God, I just bloody hope not. But hey, fans just calling it the way they see it. At the end of the day, everyone's got opinions and whatnot. It's we can't all be happy clappers and whatnot. At the end of the day, it's not been perfect this season, but I can't emphasise this enough. Regardless of what we think about what's going on in the upper echelons at Celtic and how unhappy we may be with certain people whose second name will be Lawwell and whatnot, this is our team through the end of the season. As football fans, as Celtic fans, we need to obviously just get behind them and will them over this line because, man, we cannot be affording to lose this title. Still in our hands. We know what we need to do, and it starts tomorrow. We need to get it done, Celtic.
There's some comments in here as well, like asking if I'd meet Greg Taylor, what my face would be like if he scores a goal in the last game, and all that. Listen, I'd love that. But I'll tell you what. See if Greg Taylor has a good game tomorrow, I'll spend all week doing a Greg Taylor art print and I'll put it up as a PDF in the bus when it wants to download it.
Man. Yeah, you should do a painting of Greg Taylor and just have it in the background, but not address it. It'll just be in the background one day and see if people can spot it. But as I said at the top of the show, when I talked about our previous games against Killie this season, he did score in the win over them at Celtic Park. He did score there, so... as long as somebody in a Celtic shirt puts the ball in the net multiple times tomorrow, that's all we need. So, yeah, we'll head off. Good luck to Gregory Taylor tomorrow. Hopefully he has a fantastic game. And, yeah, come on, Celtic, we need to get it done. We've dug ourselves into a hole, but we can get ourselves out of this. So, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. PMP will be on tomorrow evening. Russell and Terry will be along for that one. Sunday Blair will be along with David, myself, whoever else is on it that day. And yeah, all the usual fun and frolics on the bus. Sorry if we've been a bit too negative for you tonight, but again, we just say it like it is. But, you know, that is what it is. But yeah, we're heading off now. Enjoy the rest of your night, whatever you're doing. Liam, obviously you're in Canada, you're 8 hours behind us. You enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you get up to. And yes, we will catch you tomorrow, however you watch the game. Enjoy it. And we'll see you for PMP. Catch you later, guys.